Views and or opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of KW-AM. Welcome to the Variety Hour on AM 990, where local leaders talk Memphis.
Listen to you move your mouth. I bet you come from way down south. Now don't tell me, let me guess, you're from the town that I love best. Talk Memphis, I wish you would. Talk Memphis, you sound so good. Talk Memphis, high on the bluff. I swear I can't get enough listening to you talk that stuff. Talk Memphis, oh yeah, talk Memphis.
This is the Memphis Real Estate Hour with your host, Dean Harris, on AM 990 KW-AM. And now, here's your host, Dean Harris.
All right, welcome to the Memphis Real Estate Hour this morning. I am your host, Dean Harris. I'm with Crestcore Realty over on Summer Avenue. If you haven't seen us over on Summer, come check us out. We got a big old bright sign right across from the AutoZone, that real small AutoZone that's over on Summer. Thank you for tuning in here to the Memphis Real Estate Hour. Thanks for tuning in at AM 990 Memphis. And for those of you, some of my investors from the national scale are tuning in online at KW-AM990.com. And you can also now jump on the show's Facebook page and catch us live. So we are live this morning on our Facebook page, so feel free to join us there. The Memphis Real Estate Hour, guys, will concentrate on investing in Memphis, the Memphis real estate market, also our residential real estate market as well. I remind you every single show that I am an investor. If you have that old home that you need to sell quickly, or if you know someone that has one, they need to sell quickly, call me. It's 901-619-6170, and we'll make you a cash offer today. I don't care what kind of condition that home's in, good, bad, burnt down, no walls, doesn't matter. Just shoot me a text or call me, and I will help you get rid of it. Like I said at the beginning of the show, Facebook Live. We are on live on Facebook today. So I'm enjoying that. I know the response from it last week was great, so I'm excited to continue that this week. Last week on the show, we had Dan Butler on. Him and I discussed the myth understandings between you and financial wealth regarding real estate. So several good myths that we talked about. You can go on to the show's Facebook page, and you can see the last week's show. You can watch that and listen to it. So if you missed us last week, you can jump onto the show's Facebook page and listen to that show as well. Today's show, the rundown, I'm going to have the investment of the week. It's what I like to call free money. Of course, you got to spend money to get that free money, but it's free. I'll have the listing of the week. I've got Brad Sterling in the studio with me this morning for Choice Home Warranty. We're excited to have him in. We're going to discuss some of those warranty plans that I'm super excited about for my investors. So you guys will need to tune into that. And then the second half of the show, I've got Dan Butler in, the most able investment we're going to talk about today. So I'm really excited about today's show, so let's jump right into it. The listing of the week is, let's see, everybody get your pens out, free money. Now, this is a residential listing of the week, so we'll have 510 Peabody Square. It's a great little condo in 38104. 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1.5-bath condo. The list price is $144,900. It's over in Central Gardens. Central Gardens is one of our most desirable areas there in Midtown. So if you guys have any questions about this, just about 1,400 square feet. Again, 510 Peabody Square, 2 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. The list price is $144,900. So if you guys are looking to move into the Central Gardens area, we got a great condo that's very affordable for that area too. So I'm excited to give you that. All right, investments of the week. This is where you need to really get your pen out, write down this free cash. I love saying free. Everybody's like, why is that free? That's not free. Well, kind of. Investments of the week. 3,000 block of Point Pleasant. That's in my favorite zip code of 38118. List price is $55,500. It's rented at $750,000, or that'd be a great rental, wouldn't it? $750 a month, and it is turnkey. It is ready to go. There are no repairs needed on this one. So it's 3479 Point Pleasant in 38118. List price is $55,500, and it's occupied at $750 a month. All right, we're going to move over to East Memphis for our second one. 4611 Vern. That's V with a Z in victory. 4611 Vern, 38117. List price on this home is $61,000. We've got a long-term 9-year tenant that's in this property, renting it at $700 a month. So it's not quite the numbers that we see on a lot of our investment properties, but it is over in East Memphis, and you can have a chance for some appreciation. 1500 block, let's see, number 3, the 1500 block of Hanover. It's in 38109. It's one of our lower-end properties, but if you're not wanting to spend a ton of money to get into the investment world, this is probably an opportunity for you. 1599 Hanover Road, 38109. It's occupied at $450 a month, and this one we're only asking $25,000. Let me run through those real quick. If you got any questions, you can call me now, or you can log on to the show Facebook page and ask some questions. But 3000 block of Point Pleasant, 38118. 55.5. It's occupied at $750. 4000 block of Vern here in East Memphis, 38117. Listed at $61,000 with a 9-year tenant paying $700 a month. And then we've got the 1500 block of Hanover Road in 38109. It's occupied at $450, and we're asking $25,000. All right, I'm going to take a real quick break. Now that you've got all that information, free money, I expect the phones just to blow up right after we go on the air. I've got Brad Sterling in the studio with me. We're going to talk Choice Home Warranties here in just a few minutes. You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on AM 990 Memphis.
Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer, PLLC, is a full-service law firm with over 50 years of experience in the Memphis area. Real estate closings have continued to be the forefront of their law practice, which include residential, commercial, and development real estate transactions, drafting and negotiation of real estate contracts and leases, business information, preparation of wills, probate, and estate planning. Their firm represents a number of builders, developers, investors, and local lending institutions, and is approved to close transactions for most local banks and mortgage companies. In addition, they offer title search, title examination services, and title insurance through several well-established title insurance companies in the Memphis area, as well as Tennessee and Mississippi. They strive to offer services in a prompt and timely fashion while advising and representing clients in a zealous and professional manner. Should their offered services be of need, please contact William N. Griffin Jr. or any of their attorneys at 901-752-1133. They can also be found online at www.gcemlaw.com or on Facebook.
Is it a good time to buy or refi? Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Are interest rates going sky high soon? Hi, I'm Ludi Calloway, the mortgage lady at iBank Mortgage. I tell my customers to ask questions, get answers. So join me every Monday morning at 8 on AM 990, and I will tell you what's going on in today's still changing mortgage world. Remember, most people think about mortgages a few times in their lives. I think about them every single day. Tune in Mondays at 8.
All right, guys, I'm here in the studio with Brad Sterling. Brad's been a part of the Memphis Real Estate Hour, but now we're with a new warranty company, Choice Home Warranty. Brad, tell me about it.
Yeah, Dean, Choice has been an industry leader in direct-to-consumer warranty sales. Now they've opened up a brand new real estate portal. Pricing begins at $420 and goes up to $550 with a low $65 trade call fee. We also have fabulous multi-year pricing, meaning you can get a 5-year warranty for the cost of 4. Call me at 901-870-2334 for more information.
Thank you, Brad. Choice Home Warranty, we're happy to have them part of the Memphis Real Estate Hour.
Now here's the Mid-South weather from the News Channel 3 Severe Weather Center. Brought to you by Gossett Kia on Covington Pike. Family owned and operated.
Mostly sunny and hot across the Mid-South today as temperatures climb into the mid and upper 80s. South winds are picking up 10 to 15 miles an hour. Partly cloudy overnight, we're in the upper 60s. Back into the mid 80s for your Wednesday with winds gusting upwards of 30 miles an hour. Don't wait until the heat becomes overwhelming. Have Air and Heat Service check your home cooling system. Call 662-838-8088. That's 662-838-8088. I'm News Channel 3's Todd Demers on AM 990.
Now you can listen and watch too. Go to our website to listen online and see our studio cam, KW-AM990.com.
All right, welcome back to the Memphis Real Estate Hour. I am your host, Dean Harris with Crestcore Realty. If you guys have got any questions, you can go ahead and either post it on the live Facebook feed we're doing, or you can call and text me about some of those investments of the week I was just giving you. It's 901-619-6170. But to no further ado, I have got my guy, Brad Sterling, here in the studio. Brad, how are you today?
Good morning. Fabulous.
I am always excited to get more information and find more tools and more resources for my investors to use to help them with their numbers, to help them with their portfolio, whatever I can do to provide the best service for them. Normally, a home warranty is not the first thing you think of to give an investor, but you and I have sat here and come up with a really good program, a really good fit for my investors. Tell me, just start off and just kind of tell us a little bit about the program, a little bit about Choice Home Warranty, and why this makes sense for my investors.
Well, what I tell everybody, even regular old homeowners in addition to investors, is a lot of times it depends on the house. I don't recommend a home warranty to everybody. Certainly if you can't turn a wrench, I think a warranty is incredibly valuable. For investors, as an investor, I would hope you know your properties. If you've got homes with aged systems, 10-year-old water heaters, 15-year-old heating and air systems, I usually tell folks it generally pays for itself to maintain a warranty.
Yep.
And so tenants are notoriously rough on houses. They don't exactly take care of things. And as an investor, you can have service calls through a home warranty company that cost less money than you would do normally for your service technicians that you may even have on staff.
Right. As we've talked, we first began discussing this program, the 5-year. We're going to get into this, but I said because I got to go to my investors and say, hey, this makes sense and why. It's a couple $1,000s. We'll go over the price, but never mind that really, because for the few $100s a year that you're paying to insure, or you're double insuring yourself really, but to insure yourself on some of the small items, not house burnt down, but I mean like your HVAC, your water heater, different things like that. I know that I own property, and to have, it costs me no less than $100 every single time someone goes out there. And Dan Butler will be on this show in a minute, so we'll beat him up over that. But it's $150 minimum is what you spend if there's a leaky faucet.
Right.
Much less anything serious. Tell us a little bit about how I can save. Tell me what a service call is. A lot of people aren't going to understand the difference between a warranty in their personal home and in their investment home. Talk with me a little bit about how I can save money just on that alone.
Right. Well, the way a warranty works is you have a premium that you're going to pay for the policy. Well, every time we run one of our qualified contractors out to your house or your investment property, there's a trade call fee. Now, the trade call fee is designed, and this is kind of why I promote Choice Home Warranty as opposed to other warranty companies, because there's a balancing point in how much are you paying for that trade call. We have one of the lowest trade call fees in the industry of $65. Those can range up to $75 and even up to $100, which in my opinion is almost a retail rate of what you would send any Joe Blow plumber out to a house to do. Well, the accessibility of the warranty really depends on how many times you can use it. As a sales rep, I could care less about numbers. I just want to sell, and I want you to use the warranty. So as much as you can call the warranty company, that provides value. That means you're going to want to keep that warranty on your house at all times. So the trade call is what you would pay every time a service technician comes to your house.
So I'm paying that anyway. Yours is cheaper.
Right.
And then you can assess the issue or the problem that's going on, and then let me know, hey, we got to replace this, or we can just do this, and it'll be just fine.
Because many times the trade call fee is going to take care of everything. So you're only subject to that $65. And then if it ends up being a bigger issue, like let's say, well, it's not just the faucet's drippy, we got to replace the washer. It's actually the fixture itself is bad. We have to replace the fixture.
The whole thing.
That cost is now the warranty company's and not you, the investor.
Yeah, see, guys, you need to call Brad. If you've got your own personal home, he can handle that. Or if you're an investment or an investor, you've got rental properties that you want to try to learn a little bit more about this, call him, 901-870-2334. So I'm excited to bring this to you guys this morning. We're in the studio with Brad Sterling with Choice Home Warranty. So, Brad, multi-year warranties. I'm reading off some of this list, but multi-year warranty policies lock in the rates. Tell me kind of what that means, because I know that interest rates go up and down, but tell me what the multi-year policy, by locking that in, how does that help us protect those rates?
Well, the pricing for warranties industry-wide has gone up pretty considerably in the last couple of years. And that goes from trade call fees to premiums to everything. And most of that is because the cost of home ownership, the cost of repairs, the cost of replacement keeps going up too.
Life.
Most specifically related to air conditioners. R22, which is a refrigerant that is used inside air conditioners, is no longer available. Basically, we're stuck with what is on the market right now. That price keeps going up and up and up. Many times retail rates can be up to $75 to $100 per pound. So it can be incredibly expensive to maintain and even more expensive to replace an air conditioner. So when I promote multi-year policies, a lot of that, the main asset to an investor and a homeowner, is the fact that you, one, lock in the cost. Yep. So for the next 5 years, you're not worrying about the warranty company raising their rate. And so that alone is an incredible value. But on top of that, the warranty company's exposure is the same regardless of how many houses you put under policy. I do have investors call me up and they say, Brad, I got 10 houses. Work me a deal.
Yeah.
Well, for those 10 houses, our exposure is the same for every single one.
Yep.
We mitigate our risk on a year standpoint. So each year we have the same, but if I can spread that out for 5 years, well, then I'm able to hook you up, so to speak. And so what I promote is our 5-year plan, which costs less than 4 single years. So you can both lock in the rate for that 5 years, and you basically get an extra year for free.
I'm telling you, I'm pushing it to my clients, to my investors. I think it is, at first the sticker shock of, oh, my couple $1,000. But if you put that aside and really go through the in-depth coverage and the in-depth pieces of the warranty that you're getting for that, it's nothing.
Well, and that's why I even promoted the fact that as an investor, if you do have a crew of maintenance guys, get them on your properties and say, hey, while you're there, tell me how old that water heater is. Tell me how old that evaporator is. Tell me how old that condenser is. And if you've got older systems, and you can almost do a spreadsheet for each property that you have and choose which properties make the most sense from a value standpoint. If you've got a 15-year-old furnace or a 15-year-old air conditioner, think about it. In the next 5 years,
you're going to have a problem.
Not only a problem, it's probably going to fail completely.
All right, so if you're listening, if you're my investors out there and you're listening and you are listening to what Brad has just said, to me this hits home right here. That's why I'm stopping you. If you have a portfolio of rentals and you've got systems that are 8, 10, 12, 14 years old, why not get a warranty right now to cover these things? Because they're going to go out in a few years.
And for $2,100 for a 5-year plan, that is going to be basically more than half the cost of a single air conditioner.
$2,100 and I get 5 years of coverage. Yeah, that's why that's part of the reason why you're here. We talked about this when you came on the show of how can I benefit your clients? How can we make this, win-win for both of us? And we just said it right there. For $2,100, you get 5 years worth of coverage on your property. So if you're sitting out there and you're thinking to yourself right now, I guarantee you there's somebody listening thinking, hey, I got 3 rental houses, and I know that those AC units on those are all 10, 12, 14 years old.
Right.
Why in the world would you wait? I would call right now. Call Brad, 901-870-2334. You can talk to him a little further about some of the specifics and the ins and outs, but that alone, if you're sitting out there and you've got that, you might have 20 homes out there and you've got 20 units that are over 10 years old. That's likely.
Right.
And it really is, because most investors aren't looking to spend that money. So if you've got those units, water heaters, furnace, whatever it may be that's old or older, I wouldn't waste any time. I'd give Brad a call.
One other thing that I'll touch on real quickly,
Sure.
Dean, and this also has to do with the value. There's a tipping point between price for what you're paying for what you're getting covered for. And so I've worked for another warranty company out there that they really were centered on profit that first year. Choice Home Warranty really believes in we want you as a customer for life. We show value, and so therefore you're going to want to stay with us. So for the low trade call fee and the low premium, you can get a much more expensive home warranty. Trust me. Right. But again, why would you spend more money? And conversely, you can get a much cheaper home warranty. But if you get a cheaper home warranty than us, I would really look at the fine print, because there are a lot of exclusions built into that warranty. I'll say this for one thing that we do cover that a lot of investors care about, which is that Freon that we discussed. Yep. We do not have a cap on Freon. So
tell me what that means.
So Freon, an air conditioner is a sealed system. If you ever heard, and I'm sure everybody, even with their own personal homes, has had a Freon leak, your air conditioner just doesn't cool. It has to be filled with Freon. Some warranty companies do charge for that. And considering how expensive it costs, that is a significant outpour of money, and you think you have a warranty and you're still spending money on Freon. We do not charge for Freon, so you're only going to be subject to that trade call fee. And then if you got to put 6 pounds, now mind you that's probably a larger house, but if you had to put 6 pounds of refrigerant into your heating and air system, that cost is taken care of by Choice Home Warranty.
Isn't that normally about $100 a pound, $75 a pound?
Retail rates can vary. If you have an HVAC license, you can probably get it for between $40 and $50 a pound. But that's the way a lot of HVAC companies make money, is they upcharge their Freon, and I've seen it for $75 and upwards of $100 a pound.
Well, even if it was 55 and you needed 5 pounds, $275. I mean, it's.
And that's when a lot of homeowners and investors wonder, why do I have a warranty? Because I have a warranty and I'm still spending all this money. And so
you're paying for a friend,
right,
to come out and say hello to you.
Right.
It's all the same thing anyway, right? Well, I tell you what, this is. I wouldn't. I'm just saying this now for a vouch for Brad here. I wouldn't have you in. I wouldn't have you on the show if I didn't think that this product could really help my investors. And it makes 110% sense if you look at it from that angle. Now, if you've just bought a turnkey home and everything's new, maybe you can hold off. That's not our clients. We don't sell turnkey homes. My clients go in, find a home, rehab it, occupy it with a tenant, and keep moving. If it's got an 8-year unit on there, we're not replacing that unit. We're going to leave it. So if you've had the home now for 3 and 4 and 5 years, you bought it with it was 8 years old. Now you're at 13 years old. It might not be a bad idea to at least look into this. Maybe you're not ready this second, but I'm telling you what, I wouldn't waste any time with it. You never know when this expense is going to come. So give Brad a call. It's 901-870-2334. That's Brad Sterling with Choice Home Warranty. Man, I'm telling you what, I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you sharing everything you've got with the listeners. Is there anything else, any other information you want to give out for them to get in touch with you?
Well, I love people to call me. I have a technical background. I did home inspections for 20 years, so I can talk mechanical systems all day long. So as an investor, if you have specific questions, shoot from the hip, ask me anything and everything. Yeah. I really want to, and I've even offered this to customers. I've had investors send me their property addresses and then tell me what specifically there is about their houses. I'm going to coach you. Certainly there's always properties that may apply more or there might be more value to put a policy on one house, not necessarily on the other. Again, it's all about mitigating risks. It's about maximizing your margins. That one failed system, as an investor, it's all numbers game. Yep. At one failed system and your margins are out the window, and next thing you know, you're taking a loss on your taxes
for the year.
and so yeah.
An HVAC system.
Views and or opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of KW-AM. Welcome to the Variety Hour on AM990, where local leaders talk Memphis.
Listen to you move your mouth. I bet you come from way down south. Now don't tell me, let me guess, you from the town that I love best. Talk Memphis, I wish you would. Talk Memphis, you sound so good. Talk Memphis, high on the...
Views and or opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of KW-AM. Welcome to the Variety Hour on AM990, where local leaders talk Memphis.
Listen to you move your mouth. I bet you come from way down south. Now don't tell me, let me guess, you from the town that I love best. Talk Memphis, I wish you would. Talk Memphis, sounds so good. Talk Memphis high on the bluff. I swear I can't get enough listening to you talk that stuff. Talk Memphis, oh yeah, talk Memphis.
This is the Memphis Real Estate Hour with your host, Dean Harris, on AM 990 KW-AM. And now, here's your host, Dean Harris.
All right, welcome to the Memphis Real Estate Hour this morning. I am your host, Dean Harris. I'm with Crestcore Realty over on Summer Avenue. If you haven't seen us over on Summer, come check us out. We got a big old bright sign right across from the AutoZone, that real small AutoZone that's over on Summer. Thank you for tuning in here to the Memphis Real Estate Hour. Thanks for tuning in at AM 990 Memphis. And for those of you, some of my investors from the national scale are tuning in online at KW-AM990.com. And you can also now jump on the show's Facebook page and catch us live. So we are live this morning on our Facebook page, so feel free to join us there. The Memphis Real Estate Hour guys will concentrate on investing in Memphis, the Memphis real estate market, also our residential real estate market as well. I remind you every single show that I am an investor. If you have that old home that you need to sell quickly, or if you know someone that has one they need to sell quickly, call me. It's 901-619-6170, and we'll make you a cash offer today. I don't care what kind of condition that home's in, good, bad, burnt down, no walls, doesn't matter. Just shoot me a text or call me, and I will help you get rid of it. Like I said at the beginning of the show, Facebook Live. We are on live on Facebook today. So I'm enjoying that. I know the response from it last week was great, so I'm excited to continue that this week. Last week on the show, we had Dan Butler on. Him and I discussed the myth understandings between you and financial wealth regarding real estate. So several good myths that we talked about. You can go on to the show's Facebook page, and you can see the last week's show. You can watch that and listen to it. So if you missed us last week, you can and listen to that show as well. Today's show,
In today's still changing mortgage world. Remember, most people think about mortgages a few times in their lives. I think about them every single day. Tune in Mondays at 8.
Now here's the Mid-South weather from the News Channel 3 Severe Weather Center. Brought to you by Gossett Kia on Covington Pike. Family owned and operated.
Mostly sunny and hot across the Mid-South today as temperatures climb into the mid and upper 80s. South winds are picking up 10 to 15 miles an hour. Partly cloudy overnight, we're in the upper 60s. Back into the mid-80s for your Wednesday with winds gusting upwards of 30 miles an hour. Don't wait until the heat becomes overwhelming. Have Air and Heat Service check your home cooling system. Call 662-838-8088. That's 662-838-8088. I'm News Channel 3's Todd Demers on AM 990.
AM 990, streaming live at KW-AM990.com.
All right, welcome back to the Memphis Real Estate Hour. I am your host, Dean Harris, with Crestcore Realty over on Summer Avenue. Got my buddy Kyle McCaleb joining from St. Louis. Glad he's here with us today. Yeah, he lives up in St. Louis. Used to be a real estate guru here in town. They ran him out. No, I'm just kidding. Good guy up in St. Louis. Love Kyle. I've got Dan Butler in the studio with me this morning. I really appreciate Brad Sterling coming on in the first part.
It's good stuff.
It is good stuff. I mean, I know that's not for everybody, but I will tell you this: if you're an investor, like I'll repeat it, if you're an investor and you've got 4 or 5 homes and they're 15-year-old units and
Right.
Mechanicals in there, I don't see how that can't be a good deal for you. You know it's going to go bad.
Yeah, and the good thing with, years ago it was hard to deal with the property or the warranty companies from a property management standpoint. And it's got a lot easier because now they just give us a login. Our team knows how to just enter the address and the client side. We actually take care of it for the client. Client doesn't even get involved. I don't know if you even knew that part. But
No, I don't.
So
you guys are one of their preferred vendors, correct?
Yeah, so no, we're not a vendor, but if Brad's got a warranty with one of our clients, our maintenance team knows how to input that into his system and work with the techs. And
So it goes way further than what I'm even thinking right now. See, that's great. If you're listening out there and you caught the first part but didn't get everything, call Brad Sterling with Choice Home Warranty. It's 901-870-2334. Brad's a good dude. We're happy to have him part of the show. All right, Dan and I are going to talk this morning a most able investment. Dan, what does a most able investment mean?
Just kind of summarizing why real estate's a great place to be. I think that's kind of the summary. Why is it?
We love it.
Yeah, we love it, but trying to tell the listeners and the audience, what are all the benefits? Why is it such a good thing? Because you hear a lot of, good and bad, out there in the world and versus stocks or other investments. But we got a list here to go through of why it's a good for.
Why it is able.
Why it is able.
The first one that we can discuss is accessible. Anyone can buy it.
Yep.
I like that for two reasons. For me, buying it, it's easy to get and it's easy to maintain. But when I'm selling it, it also opens it up to the masses, right? Is that kind of what we're talking about there?
Well, and it's also just, anybody can do this, anybody can get involved in real estate. So, they'll say, well, my credit's bad, or I've never done this before, or I don't know how to go about finding. There's all kinds of ways, and I wrote down several I started a lot with owner financing. I think I told you that story. Just I'd knock on doors, I'd see a for rent sign, and I'd either call that for rent sign, it was a handmade rent sign, or just knock on the door of the duplex, and it'd actually be the owner on one side and renting out the other, and all of a sudden I'm buying the duplex and and they're owner finance. I got one right now that I've owner financed back from 2004, so in a couple of years it'll be paid off, but 6% interest, 15-year note, but hard money, owner finance, Fannie Mae. A lot of people are doing the Fannie Mae product, which is a great product with the low interest rate and a fixed term. And
30 years, right?
So it's just basically the whole point is any of us can do it.
Right.
It's kind of like that personal accountability, just get off the couch and do something, you know? So.
Appreciable, in other words, increases value over time. In our market, we're limited on some of that. We're a cash flow market. Southern California is an appreciation market. I'm not saying you can't get anything here that would appreciate, but there's a certain product that you have to get. Now, there's different kinds, I guess, of appreciation. A natural just value appreciation, and then I guess what you do to it yourself.
Well, let's talk through that. Like, if you know this side better than I do, because you do a lot of BPOs and appraisal type stuff, and looking at values. Even in Memphis, you take the crash out of it. What's happened since I guess better question, what's happened since the crash? Have they gone up or down, or?
We've increased,
several percentage points a year, right?
Yeah.
And before the crash, what did it do?
Stagnant or going down.
Before Even
before that.
Before that. Everything's, if you look at a 30-year picture, things go up 2 to 3 in Memphis, 2 to 3% a year, right? So that is a return in and of itself, right?
Yes.
I think, is that a guarantee? No, but and we should caveat that to say a lot of the lower end areas, low rents, that's a harder appreciative product. That's probably not going to happen. But anything east or south or those kind of areas, there's going to be appreciation.
Wendy Greenlaw with Chandler Reports came in last week and told us that we are selling homes at a 6.5% to 7% increase from where we were last year.
Right.
So the natural would be the 2 or 3, and I guess
That's
if we're in a great market, we're getting
6,
3 or 4 more.
Yeah,
yes, we're right at 6 or 7. You can get an appreciable product. You just have to make sure you buy it in the right area. Because I agree with you. If you're in that $15,000-$20,000 range, it's going to be tough for that.
Yeah, it stays in that $15,000
or $20,000 range
until they're like, for example, Midtown. Wendy brought that up. Was it last week? Week before?
Yeah, last
week. And just how Midtown is going out, right?
Stretching.
And my bet's on Lamar, right?
Your bet is on Lamar, man. I'm telling you, just watch. You're going to have that would be one of those 10, 15 to 1 returns if you hit that.
Yeah, I wish I was smart as one of the guys I know that's bought every lot, $2,000 house all around there, just dirt
from
cheap.
Lamar to what? South Parkway?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and then taking it going west, you know, because think about even that across from the University Club, going across Lamar,
Yeah.
there's a whole little neighborhood right there, Sledge, and I think it's Agnes. I mean, we did a retail rehab for a client that, I mean, it appreciated, it sold for $200,000, $100 square foot across Lamar.
That's Memphis.
I'm telling you. But anyway, the point just being.
No, let's go. Let's talk about. Let's go dump some money into that.
That's right. I'm just saying that across the board there is appreciation that happens throughout our cities.
Sure.
So that's why real estate in general is a good investment.
Leverageable. Buy on margin and borrow against the equity. Tell our listeners. We talk about leverage with clients every day.
Yep.
The best time and the best way to use it. So buy on a margin and borrow against it. Tell the listeners what that means, Dan.
So, and I've learned a lot about this in the last couple of years versus probably the first part of my career. Buying the real estate was more about, buying it and leveraging other people's money, meaning the banks.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of like our senior partner.
Right.
Somebody asked me like, well, y'all own a lot of houses. Well, the bank actually owns them.
Yeah, right.
We're just paying for them every time. We're working for them right now until they're paid off. But we're working for the bank. But we were able to leverage their money, and it wasn't I was able to keep my personal money in the bank and using that money. If you did a Fannie Mae type product where there's 25% down, say take a $100,000 house. We've done these examples in the past. You could put 25% down and buy 4 of those. So now you got $400,000 worth of houses, or actually, at least $400,000
at least
at $25,000 a piece down instead of one house that you bought all clear for $100,000.
It's a difference in a lot of. I mean, if you got $1,200, just to keep the math easy, if you got $1,200 in rent, that's $4,800 versus $1,200 free and clear.
Right.
Your notes aren't going to be but $2,000 maybe.
That's right.
So you're going to cash flow double almost.
And then I'd say it kind of goes, with the second bullet of appreciation with leverage as you're paying that principal down. So the principal's going down, your appreciation is going up by a little bit. So your spread between what you owe and what that house or apartment or whatever it is worth increases.
Yep,
okay.
grows.
So then this is where my eyes have been kind of open in the last year or two. You can take that money, the difference in the spread, and get lines off of it. And do all kinds of stuff, loan it to other people that are doing rehabs, or buy another property that kind of parlays you, you pay itself back, but go buy another property quicker, faster, all that stuff. So
that's what I encourage them to do.
Yeah.
I mean, just to build that portfolio and let it pay for itself.
Yeah.
I mean, if you manage it properly, it can pay for itself. I'm in the studio. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
No, go ahead.
Live in the studio with Dan Butler, Crestcore Realty. We are talking about a most able investment. We've talked about accessible, appreciable, leverageable, and now the ever popular rentable.
Yeah.
Got to buy a property that's rentable.
Yeah, it's all about cash flow.
It's
right?
all about cash flow, and if you go 3 months out of the year with it's vacant, that ain't going to work for you. That ruins your performance for that year every time.
Well, I think with rentable, you're basically saying, you're using leverage piece, you're using other people's money, OPM, which I think Rich Dad Poor Dad kind of coined that term, OPM, other people's money, and then you got a return on your investment, meaning you're buying it, and and there's all kinds of ways to calculate this, so that's a whole probably another show in of itself. But your return on equity or return on investment, you're actually letting somebody else, pay for that investment. Right. So that duplex example I gave you back in 2004 that I bought, I think it was like $50,000, and I think it's probably $900,000 rent. I can't remember. And I had no money out of pocket. Right, because the owner finance, I had zero.
That's crazy.
So what's that return? It's infinity, right?
Yeah,
because I don't have anything in it.
That's right.
And the same tenants have been in that property since 2004. It's crazy.
The same people?
Yeah.
It's 13 or 14 years.
13, 14 years, and that one of the tenants has been there since '84. So she's actually helped the first owner pay for it.
That lady's bought that house 4 times.
She's almost bought it at least twice. So. Jeez. But yeah, cash flow. That's what it's all about.
That is what it's about. So it's rentable, accessible, appreciable, leverageable, and rentable. So make sure that whatever you're buying, or at least has these 4 things. And if you have questions about this after the show, feel free to give me a call, and I can go into some more in-depth explanation of some of this. But 901-619-6170, you can reach out to us and get some questions answered that way. All right, accessible, appreciable, leverageable, rentable, and now we're improvable.
Mm-hmm.
Sweat equity. How can make sure that whatever you're buying, whatever you're looking at, can be improved? Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on the sweat equity with this.
It goes back to, kind of ties into that buy right that we constantly hammer home about buying it right, which means you bought it with some juice in there, you have some equity in there. You want to buy it low and sell it high, right?
That's
so
right.
Part of that is and this is where people have varying degrees of risk tolerance. Like
Yeah.
how many investors will hear that don't want any work, or maybe just clean it.
Yeah.
Hey man, I just want to buy a $100,000 investment, 1% ratio. Just
Give me a check.
Just give me a check. Whereas we got some guys that want, hey, I'll do up to a $30,000 rehab.
Yep.
And you know me, that's one of my favorites because
Everything's new.
everything's new.
Yeah.
I mean, I taught you well. See,
I
look at that.
oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, grasshopper.
Yeah, good job. New roof, new HVAC,
Yeah.
new water heater, new plumbing, new flooring. Everything's new, so the chance, everything's kind of under a warranty at that point,
Yeah.
a self-warranty.
Yeah.
5 years for mechanical, at least 5 years. You can get up to 10. And then I think it's 6 for water heaters now, which
Yeah, that's not bad
That's
either.
not bad,
Look,
so-
I had a guy we were talking this week, and to your point that you just mentioned about doing a lot of rehab jobs, we went into a home. It was over in my favorite zip code.
let me guess, 3118.
That's the one, my favorite zip code. And it was a $45,000 home. We thought it was going to need about 10 grand,
Mm-hmm.
and it came back right at 30.
30.
I mean, it needed
bones
a
were
ton.
bad,
Yeah, it just needed a roof and
Yeah.
all the mechanicals. And the investor immediately, his first reaction was, well, let's kill it. Let's kill it. And I'm normally fine with killing it. Like, I'd usually think that that's okay. But in this situation, I told him, hey, let's hang tight, man.
See if we can get the price.
Let's get
of the
price.
house.
Yeah, because if you buy it right, it doesn't matter where or what it is.
Yeah.
If you buy it right, it's good. A lot of people say, hey, we don't want 109 or 106 or 127 or whatever some of
Whatever
their,
it is, yeah.
who cares what you're getting? If you buy it right over there,
Right.
then it's a good investment, right?
Right.
I mean, so don't
Well,
be
like-
afraid of large rehabs, in my opinion. You just need to get it for $10,000.
Well, I like what you pointed out. I mean, I think with us, we always talk about when you put a house on a contract, you got 3 choices, right?
Right.
The rehab's good. If it was 10,000, your investor would have said, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
30,000, it's like, all right, step back. It's like,
Let's take a look.
take a look. You can either ask for the seller to reduce his price
Yep.
because it's not what you thought, or you just kill the deal.
Yeah.
So there's 3 choices. That's what I love about all that is you got choices. You're not
Yes.
just locked in.
No, and I try to preface the conversation with the investor that, hey, this could go wrong. Meaning, they're asking 40. We think it needs 10, but you might show up and it needs 25.
It depends.
That's fine.
It depends on what your source of the house. Yeah.
Oh, if they're from wholesalers, we don't
Wholesalers.
even count it.
Yeah.
Forgive.
Depends on the wholesaler.
Yeah. Well, most of the time,
Some
I
are
mean,
good.
Yeah, most of them are. But I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you get you'll get a
one-off. That's
yeah,
just way
one off.
off.
Hey, man, it only needs $3,000 worth of work, and we
Right.
show up and it needs 15.
Right.
So that can't happen. But don't be afraid of the huge rehabs. Let's just lower our price and keep moving on.
Right.
Buying right is the key. Let's do a show on that.
All right, let's do it.
I think we have before, but yes, buying right is the big kicker. All right, a most able investment, guys. Got Dan Butler with Crestcore Realty in here talking with me about a most able investment. We've talked about accessible, appreciable, leverageable, rentable, improvable. Now we're looking at deductible, depreciable, and deferrable tax
Yeah,
benefits.
a lot
Let's
of
talk
tax.
about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's that could be a whole show in and of itself, and it'd probably be good to get a accountant in here one day to
Yeah.
help us. But definitely on deductibles.
Yes.
You can become. I know when I transitioned from I was in manufacturing,
Mm-hmm.
then I went to a part-time real estate professional. That opened up kind of the what you can deduct and all that stuff,
Yep.
and that's a little bit over my head. And then I became a full-time real estate professional, which then it changed it again.
Yep.
But that's a piece. Then you can anything you associated with doing that work. Your mileage. If you have a meal with somebody to discuss a deal, if you're somewhere and looking at a deal and buy something associated with that, that's all deductible. So
That's right.
That's a great piece. Depreciation is great.
Mm-hmm.
Standard. I think IRS is 27.5 years. There's some aggressive accountants out there that actually get it to 10. you know, which, I could go pros and cons on that model, you know, because I've always said, what do you do after the 10th year? Because you've run out of.
Now you're just stuck.
You're stuck with whatever your cash flow is, and you've already paid down so much interest and all that stuff. And then
you prefer keeping them for the long, like writing it off longer, because we're in it, I guess.
I think so, but I bet if we opened up calls, I'd get hammered by a bunch of my friends. They think you should go aggressive, and but ours are on short-term notes, 15 years or less. That I think that I'd be worried about year 10.
I was about
15.
to say that seems short-sighted, because if you're in this for the long haul, then what are you doing after year 10? You got to keep buying, right?
Yeah. Well, that was my solution that I came up with after meeting that accountant. I'm like, I got to keep buying a bunch of houses to keep that depreciation flow coming in, and interest payments and all that stuff. So it's a cycle that I just couldn't see myself doing. But all that to say, I got friends that do it all the time. I mean, that's nothing wrong with it at all.
They stick to the 10 years.
So basically, for 10 years, you have, say you had 10 houses and you put on a 10-year depreciation, you're probably, even if you made some money on the properties, you probably would not pay taxes. It'd be close because you're such aggressive on that between your depreciation and deductibles. So,
deductible, depreciable, deferrable, great tax benefits. So I'm going to preface this by saying consult your accountant before you listen to either one of us. But
that's right.
If
these are all opinions, expressed, written. What is it?
Whatever the disclaimer is, I just gave it. So talk to your accountant before you listen to us, because each individual is different. But
that's right.
There are advantages to the 10-year and then to the long drawn out. If you need questions with that, if you need help with hooking up with a good accountant, I know we know several.
Yeah, we know several.
So we're talking most able investments. The next one is stable, slow to rise and slow to fall. I agree with this. I'm in this for the long haul.
Yeah.
I would love the peaks, but I don't want to go through the valleys. I just can't. I don't, with what all we do and the stress that would come with it.
Yeah.
I'm not into rolling the dice every morning to see if something's going to work. I'm looking for a long-term, steady, cash-flowing product that I can hold on to for eternity.
What I would say to that one is just to your point. We have a very slow, 2 to 3% appreciation, like we talked about. So it's not a ton of just ups and downs, like waves. But same thing on slow to fall. Like when we went through that downturn back in 08, 9, 10, 11, and coming out of it, I was worried sick. Like what's this going to do to me?
Right.
Well, I bought more houses than I ever did the first 8 years of doing it. My rents never went down. I did see a little bit of vacancy issue,
When the market went bad?
When the market went bad, just because people's jobs, like it was just a tough, you just had to loosen up your criteria a little bit. A lot of people were living with family, and so that was a 1 or 2 year stretch. But, at the end of the day, the rents never went down. At least mine didn't. I think some people would say theirs did, depending on the area.
Yeah.
And so from the slow to fall standpoint, that's where I feel like that comes into play. I think people have to have a place to live.
Got to.
Especially in Memphis, where it's 50% or whatever the number is for, people that rent versus the national average is more like 40%. So
real high here.
Real high here. So that's always going to create a demand. The tricky part is how the economy is doing on the back end with the jobs, the distribution, and
it's our job market here calls for it too. We've got a lot of logistical companies here, FedEx, and hourly employees. So there's a huge demand for it when it comes to that. We're talking most able. I'm in the studio here with Dan Butler, Crestcore Realty. Accessible, appreciable. All these investments should be accessible, appreciable, leverageable, rentable, improvable, deductible, and deferrable from our tax standpoint, and stable. Slow to rise and slow to fall.
Yeah.
I really like that one. That to me, is the highlight of what we're talking about today. I know there's some other good points on here, but I like the stable part because Memphis is, from a rental standpoint, you've been buying since what, 01?
01, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you just got done saying you're not looking at huge ups and downs. I mean, you're constantly maybe having a shift, but
my values, to your point, my values went down for about 3 or 4 or 5 years. So I was buying houses on the same street that I had bought for $50. Now I was picking up for $30, and I was getting mad, but at myself, in a sense. But
Right.
I was like, you know what? This is like dollar cost averaging in stocks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
That's
some
right.
days you can buy that stock at $100 a share, and some days you can buy it at $150. You might get lucky and get it at 50 sometimes. So like
That's right.
you just got to keep buying and keep moving as long as the numbers make sense for you.
Yeah.
You know, the last thing you can do is just, you know, not do anything.
Right.
So,
Okay, we've got one more here. It is livable. Shelter in more ways than one. Explain to us what that means, Dan.
well, it's just, you know, it's just people got to have a place to live, you know.
Yeah.
So you could use it. You know, we heard the term house hacking.
Yep.
I think that's what they say, like where you live in the house, fix it up, sell it, live in a duplex or a triplex. I had a guy call me last week, you know, a fourplex he was looking at, and he wanted to actually live in one and rent out the other three. So, you know, there's definitely different strategies on that.
Bigger Pockets calls it house hacking.
House hacking, yeah. You know, the other one, I actually wrote down a couple more, just, you know, it gives you options and opportunities, right?
Yeah.
I think that that's what I've seen towards the end of our, you know, we're coming in that downside of paying things off. So I'm seeing, you know, ways to create lines and ways to sell off the bat and actually pay off other houses. And, you know, I started this just with my manufacturing, thinking I was having options to, you know, either retire, you know, have a better 401k or whatever. So that was, I definitely see options open up. The longer you're in this, I mean, that's the thing that I got to get across is like, jump in, get in, do something.
Yeah.
Because at some point, you know, it's not a get rich quick scheme. This is a 5, 10, 15-year journey.
Yes. Stable. I love it.
Yep.
You had a good point there that I want to bring out again in case people it flew right by them. If you've got a portfolio of 10 houses and you've been paying them down for 10 and 12 years, all that gap between there is you can use that.
Yes.
That is
Utilize
something
that.
you can utilize that equity that you have paid down and you've created to loan money, to buy more houses.
That's right.
There's different tools that you can use along the way. That in itself could be another show.
And that's
explaining
another
that
show,
to other
yeah.
investors. I'm sure that a lot of them know it, but if you don't know on the front end, then maybe you don't plan for it.
Right.
I mean, if you're paying off a house, you know, example, a $100,000 rental, paying it down to 20 and 30 grand. Well, there's 50 grand or so that you can use in there to either buy another one, loan it out, you know, whatever you may want to do with it.
Got one more for you.
Yeah, give me the
Giveable.
last. Yeah, we talk about that on the show too.
You know, just the fact that, you know, are we part of the problem or part of the solution?
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that, are we giving back to the community? Are we improving neighborhoods? Are we, you know, making it, you know, instead of drug-infested, gang-infested area, are we trying to build back the neighborhoods and make it safe? So I think that part alone kind of sums up, you know, the first, you know, 8 or 10 bullets that we did, just giving back and doing something that adds value to Memphis, you know, or whatever city you're in. I think that's huge, that people that don't realize how big you know, think about the, you know, probably millions of dollars a day that between all the investors that are out here buying properties or improving these, you know, houses throughout the city. It's got to be millions.
I know, and that's what I've argued that a lot of investors or a lot of people think, oh, these big hedge funds coming in and buying and all these rental houses that are going up. A lot of these properties weren't in great shape.
That's
these
right.
are in bad areas, and these are properties are being
putting all new flooring and all new HVAC
and all fixed up.
roofs
I know.
and cleaning up the yards. I mean, I got one right now working on. They're going to fill in a pool, and I mean the pool you can tell hadn't been touched in 15 years.
Filling in, it's a whole
filling
backyard.
in yard side, you know, getting the house fixed up and make it something that's worth looking at and being part of. So
Dan, thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, it's been a good.
I really appreciate you having you in here. Thank you to Brad Sterling. We always like having him in here. If you guys have any questions about the Choice Home Warranty Package for Investors, 901-870-2334. Give Brad Sterling a call. Appreciate you guys listening today. Tune in on Facebook Live. Looks like we had a good group that followed us in today. So we're excited to have them in. You guys check us out next week at 8 a.m. You're listening to the Memphis Real Estate Hour on AM 990 Memphis.
Thanks, Dean.
CBS News at the top of every hour and the most local talk in the Mid-South. This is AM 990 KW-AM Memphis.